Hello everyone. Today, as you know, I'm going to be talking about my experiences working or training as a general manager for Starbucks, why I quit, and why I don't think you should ever go there, and some alternatives to Starbucks. What I'm going to be sharing to you today is my honest experience, what happened, and I'm not fluffing anything for this video because there's 12 of you that watch these. So first off, they structure your manager training as 2 weeks of barista training, 2 weeks of shift lead training, and 5 weeks of store manager training, while also letting you know halfway through your shift lead training that as a store manager, you're 70% barista, 30% manager. Well, if that's the case, I was not trained properly at all to be a barista. I didn't know how to make drinks when I was told to do all of that by myself. I was supposed to take orders, make my own drinks, and get my own food all by myself while not knowing how to use the POS system, while not knowing how to make drinks. I knew how to warm up bagels. That's easy. But every time I had to make a drink, I had to utilize one of the recipes on the iPad. And now I'm touching an iPad with my disgusting hands now, and I'm going back to the POS system, and now I'm going back to making drinks. Very chaotic, was not prepared in the slightest. With that being said, while on the floor, I felt completely useless. I felt like I was in the way. I couldn't do things on my own without asking someone for help, or, like I said, using an iPad and getting my hands dirty all of a sudden. Just not the environment that I would create as a manager. I used to work at Crumble, and I would never make the person who's ringing people up get cookies as well. Well, and Crumble is smart. They make you use gloves, so boom. Next, I have a little bit of health and safety concerns. As a salaried employee, I still had to clock in and out for lunches, which means that my salary depended on how much I spent in the store, which isn't a problem in itself, but when a store manager who's supposed to be training you comes in sick for a week and then a new person comes in and then gets sick, I think that's disgusting. I think she should have been able to stay home and recover, but she couldn't because she has to clock in and get money, right? Awesome. And then when I decided to take time for myself to recover because I couldn't stand up, I couldn't even open a bottle of Gatorade, the district manager criticized me for taking sick leave. And also, I didn't get paid my salary. And I have always been taught by my wonderful mother that if you are sick, you stay home. It's better for everyone in the store if you don't get them all sick. It's better if one person stays home sick than me coming in, getting maybe one or two other people getting sick. Now there are two people sick. Just bad practices all around. I don't know why these aren't addressed. Actually, I do know why, and we're going to get into that. Now, this one might just be a personal experience and not a Starbucks experience that everyone experiences, but I had to commute 45 minutes to the training store that I was going to and thought it was very peculiar. The district manager always used to throw it back in my face saying like, well, you agreed to this. You said this was fine. Well, I was moving from Oregon to California for this job, so when you tell me that my training will be in X city, I don't know where that is. I barely knew where the new city was that I was moving to. I don't have a topographical map of every state in the United States. Maybe I should. I don't know if that's a fault on me then. But having to drive 45 minutes isn't the worst thing in the world. It kind of is, but I was able to swallow that pill. But it was an issue when I was getting scheduled to 11:30 p.m., so not getting home till 12:15, taking my dog out, not getting to bed till 12:30, and then being asked to show up for work at 9 a.m., which means I have to leave by 8:15, 8:10, which means in order for me to poop and eat in the morning, and have my dog poop and eat and exercise because these are things that are good for my own mood, I had to get up at 6 or 7 a.m., which means I had 5 or 6 hours for sleep. These aren't good for overall mood. These aren't good for trying to retain information. When someone's training, someone should be allotted, 7.5, 8 hours of sleep. This is usual, I would say. When I was a manager and training people, I made sure to ask them which location is the most ideal for you. Never schedule them ridiculous hours. I understand that I was fine working 8.5 hours, I guess is the standard now. But when I was hiring new people, I made sure that they were like 4 hours, 6 hours, and we gradually work to an 8-hour shift because I understand that working in a new environment is anxiety inducing, and I don't want that for other people. And then it just made me keep thinking that no one was thinking about Caleb. No one was thinking about Caleb's well-being, and that just disenfranchised me to the max. Also, with that, after that 11:30 shift and everyone knowing that I commute really far, no one once asked how I was doing. I probably would have let people know that I was extremely tired and would have liked longer sleep. Again, maybe sort of, I'll give them that. It's a little bit of an issue on me because I didn't speak up. But at this point in time, I was kind of just checking in on how shitty they would treat me. Like, how far will this go? Will they keep treating me this shitty? And answer is yes. Sorry if you can hear the leaf blower. I'll try to speak louder. So one of the other things I want to talk about is communication issues. The communication issues that I had with Starbucks are akin to the inauthentic language of Newspeak in 1984. The people there don't know how to speak to humans as humans. They are forced to take weird workarounds in order to communicate the same thing. So anytime I was trying to voice my concerns, I would get this Newspeak talked back to me, and my concern was eradicated from the conversation with just dancing around the topic. So I was very confused. Any of the concerns I did bring up were wish-washed away into the Newspeak. And this is interesting in a business where it's super fast-paced and a lot of direct, clear communication is required to function wholly as a team. Here's one that kind of got me and why I wanted to make this video. I'm really big on hygiene. Ask anyone in my life, I will tell people that the number one concern in my life is safety. Go anywhere. If you think of safety first, you will be fine. Think of safety first, then having fun or whatever it is. But if you, so important to be safe in anything that it is that you do. Well, Starbucks doesn't seem to really preach that because I rarely ever saw employees wash their hands. I wash my hands at least 17 times-ish, that's kind of a little bit of an exaggeration, on a shift. Rarely would see other people do it. The only time I would see people do it is when my barista trainer would watch me do it and be like, oh yeah, we should wash our hands. And I'm like, I'm already washing my hands. But yes, you probably should do that as well. Another one, and I don't know how bad this is since you're not physically touching things, but it's really gross to me. And it just shows a lack of self-control. A lot of the employees at Starbucks will use their phone directly on the floor, not in the back, not on their break, but directly on the floor, and then go to making drinks, which I think is disgusting because I know if they're doing that, they're using their phone in the bathroom, and then now your phone is just a toilet seat that you're touching while making people's drinks that people are consuming. That's really gross. So Caleb, you're doing all this complaining. Like, what do we do about it? What do we do? I would encourage you to never spend your money at Starbucks. A great alternative is Pete's Coffee. While I was transitioning once in my life, I worked for Pete's Coffee as a shift lead for quite some time, a couple months, and they genuinely care about coffee. They genuinely care about their employees. They understand that an espresso shot can't go more than 5 seconds without being poured into the drink, mixed in with dairy. This is not a concern at Starbucks when pulling shots. You have to sequence your drinks and just make more of them all the time, always, which is fine in a sense because I understand that you're busy, but Pete's also gets busy and they teach you and have you practice how to pull a perfect shot, how to make a perfect latte, because to Pete's, coffee matters. And I implore you to go and try out a Pete's. The coffee is just always better. My favorite thing from Pete's is a Havana cappuccino. I think it's what people actually want to be drinking when they want a vanilla latte. Cappuccinos are where most of the milk in the latte is made into foam, which kind of makes the drink a little sweeter. Also, lastly, on the whole you shouldn't do Starbucks thing, 65% of the drinks that you get there is instant coffee. It's 2 bags of Robusta powder with hot water, and I whisk it together. Boom. There's your instant coffee. So if you do go to Starbucks, get an espresso drink or drip coffee. Other than that, it's fake. All right, so I got one more thing before we wrap this up and conclude. There's a lot of corporate pressure from Starbucks. I think everyone was constantly reminded of Starbucks' financials. We were told all the time that Starbucks isn't making $18 billion anymore. They're making $9 billion, so they're really hurting. And they would make me, someone who's been with the company for a month, less than a month, made me feel personally and socially responsible for this lack of money, and telling me and all the other employees that the reason why they weren't making a lot of money is because you or I weren't connecting with customers well enough. So I remember on some of my shifts, the manager or shift lead or anyone would come up to me and be like, "Did you ask that customer a personal question about their life?" And I'm trying to understand how to use the POS system, how to build drinks. I'm not really worrying about whether this person's shirt was from H&M. I think it's kind of unreasonable to be blaming employees for poor performance as a company. That's a global mechanism. I feel like what was going on is they were feeling the sting of inflation, which, if that's the case, they should use their huge $9 billion to lobby for lower taxes or something like that, so they can put more money in their customers' pocket and then, I don't know, make more money. Or just stop being a shitty company that bends over backwards making any drink that people want and just creating better drinks for people, and stop relying on your pink drink to go viral on TikTok. That might be a good start. All in all, customers having less money and not wanting to spend it at Starbucks is not your employees' fault at all. It's not my social responsibility for people to have more disposable income to be buying pink drinks or fraps. Not my responsibility at all. So to conclude, my experience at Starbucks was not great. This is why I quit my job with no job prospects. I had a panic attack one of my shifts, which I'll have another video about. I've already recorded it, but I will link it in the description once I actually upload it. But inconsistent training, health and safety concerns, unreasonable scheduling, communication issues, poor hygiene practices, corporate pressure. These things are poopy, not how I want to feel at a company. I didn't feel welcomed. I didn't feel supported. None of these things were my experience at Starbucks, even though this is what they preach that Starbucks is all about. I think it's important to have transparency and accountability in corporate environments, and this is not my experience at Starbucks. I would urge you to never go there. If you work there now, awesome, you probably agree with these things, and let me know. Also, if this video is randomly popping off, please don't try to figure out what Starbucks it is that I worked at. They're all great people at the end of the day. Starbucks is the issue. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.